The lens on the Pocket 3 has a fixed f2 aperture, and what that means is that you can get some really nice looking footage when it comes to B-roll and close-ups with very nice shallow depth of field or blur background. And that is going to help separating the subject from the background, making your videos look a lot more professional. And that f2 aperture is what's key here, because when you record close-ups of products, objects, or subjects to help telling your story, you don't want them to blend with the surroundings. You want them to be isolated from the background so that you can tell the viewer, pay attention to this because this is important and relevant to what I'm telling you in this video. You still need to follow the same concepts and principles about exposure, composition, and framing, but there are a couple of crucial aspects that are going to help your footage look really good and professional. And I know that the temptation is to always keep the camera moving because, after all, this is a camera and a gimbal. But I would strongly suggest that when you do B-roll, if this is something that you have planned as part of your video, that you use a tripod and try to avoid handheld movement as much as possible. When I do B-roll, it's often close-ups of products or objects, something that I'm talking about that I want to highlight as important. And for these type of shots that are so up close, you want them to be rock solid. You don't want any micro vibrations or shakiness on camera. If you hold the Pocket 3 and film close-ups, because you are actually holding the camera, it's never gonna be quite perfectly framed and the camera is gonna be rocking, and depending on how steady hands you have, you might have more or less shaky footage, and trust me, you don't want that. If you try to do any track in or track out shots, because you are again holding the Pocket 3, you're gonna get slight movements, whether it's to the sides or up and down, and that's gonna be really distracting to the viewer. If on the other hand you have the Pocket 3 mounted on a tripod, you're gonna get a clean shot that shows the product correctly with the right framing, and you can then add a little bit of movement later in your edit. But you start from a solid, clean, and perfectly framed shot. And there will be times that this is not gonna be possible. You're not gonna be carrying a tripod with you all the times, and sometimes it's just not practical. If this is the case, I recommend that you set the gimbal mode to FPV inverted, not tilt lock or follow. The FPV inverted mode means that the gimbal is always going to be pointing the camera to where the OLED screen is pointing to, and this is gonna make framing a lot easier and quicker. And like I said all the time, if you need to make any movement as part of your B-roll filming, do it slowly and controlled. Try to get rid of as much of any unwanted movement in your shot, even if that means engaging the lock mode, because I couldn't stress enough how important it is that these type of shots are slow and controlled. And think carefully before you spend 10 or 15 minutes trying to get the perfect shot. Do you really need to do that motion shot with the Pocket 3, or could you just do a static shot and then punch in post, even if it's just a little bit, to get a sense of movement? And it goes without saying that you can also use other accessories like sliders or other grip equipment, and those will definitely help adding a new dimension to your footage, definitely a lot more visual at times. But those tools take time to set up, and a lot of the times you're gonna be doing this indoors, and that involves lighting. And this is another area where you need to pay attention, because anything that you do indoors will need lighting, and the 3-point lighting that we covered earlier in the video still applies. You need your key light, your fill, and your rim light. If you want your B-roll to look professional, you need to film it as if it was done by professionals. If you rush it and do it in 10 seconds, it's gonna look like that. You may be able to get away with it if you film outdoors because the sun is free and there is so much light everywhere. Just get a decent looking background behind the object and the shot is likely to look good. But if you do this indoors, you're gonna need to light the object using lights, stands, and other accessories, and if you rush it, you can tell. But the Pocket 3 gives you a really clean 4K image that is gonna look absolutely amazing, and because you have such a high resolution, you're gonna be able to slightly reframe if you need to. And don't be afraid to do that, we all do it. For instance, there are times where I don't get an object perfectly aligned. Maybe I'm outside and I have a lot to do, or maybe I didn't balance the tripod correctly, and I can see that the object is slightly off alignment, and I don't want to spend 10 minutes getting it perfectly. And when I'm doing my editing, I can tell that that shot is not looking right, but all I need to do is just adjust the angle a little bit, zoom in slightly on my editing program and then cover the shot, and it looks amazing. So don't be afraid of correcting slight problems and reframing, because it happens all the time, but because the resolution is so high, your footage is always gonna look amazing. And this is just one of over 70 lessons that you can find in my DJI Beginner to Pro course, and I teach you in just 14 days everything that you need to know to create stunning and professional looking videos. And I know that it might sound too good to be true, but if you follow my program, in less than 2 weeks, you're gonna be creating amazing looking videos for your YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or any social media platform or general content creation. And the best part of it is that the course costs less than the price of a movie ticket. So if this is something interesting to you, I would love to see you inside. Click in the link below and I'll see you around.